Hi, and welcome back. Focal Point AFR Talk, looking at a story in the New York Times. You believe this? The Justice Department, this is from the New York Times, the Justice Department, this is Eric Holder and the Keystone Cops at the Justice Department. The Justice Department temporarily lost track of two former terrorists who had participated in its witness protection program and until recently did not disclose the fictitious identities it created for terrorism-linked witnesses to the agency that generates watch lists, allowing some who were on the no-fly list to take commercial flights under their new names, according to a new report. Now, these two guys, they think one of them's out of the country. The other one, they have no idea where he is. These were Islamic terrorists. They're in the witness protection program because apparently they cooperated with our authorities and they wanted to try to provide some protection. But we have seen that, these Muslim terrorists, I mean, they can turn on you on a dime. So we got two terrorists that are out there somewhere completely on the loose. Now, one more soundbite from the IRS thing. One piece on immigration. I probably won't get time to get to it, immigration, but listen to this. This is ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And again, President Obama wanted to make this sequester hurt. I want the American people to feel pain. I could shield them from the pain. We could find a way to move. We've got enough flexibility here. We can move resources around. We can move assets around. We can move budgeting around to make sure that we minimize the pain that the American people feel. He doesn't want to do that. He was very explicitly direct. I want the American people to feel the pain. Whatever you have to do in implementing this sequester, you make sure that the American people feel it. I want them to hurt because I think we can pin this on the Republicans. And here's a piece from Fox News. Hundreds of illegal immigrants, illegal aliens with criminal records were released earlier this year as the Obama administration prepared for budget cuts. Make the sequester hurt. Let's release hundreds of illegal alien criminals. I mean, they already broke the law once by just being here. Now they've come here. They've broken the law again. They've been apprehended. They've been tried. They've been put in jail or put in prison. Let's just let them go. Let's just release them, hundreds of them. And we're going to blame it on the Republicans, the mean, wascally Republicans, and their budget cuts. Immigration and Customs Enforcement released the figures to two top senators after a 3-month delay and under the threat of congressional subpoenas. So this goes back 3 months. They did not want the American people to know what they had done. But of the 2,226 detainees that were released in February, the department revealed 622 have been identified as having some type of criminal conviction. So 622 convicted criminals, illegal aliens, so that means that they are guilty of at least 2 crimes. They broke our immigration law, number 1. That makes them a criminal. You break a law, you're a criminal. That's a crime. And they committed some additional crime on top of that for which they were convicted and incarcerated. 622 loose, just turned loose, cut loose in America. And 32 of them had multiple felony convictions, not multiple misdemeanor convictions, not DUIs or parking tickets or speeding tickets. These are multiple felony convictions, 32 of them loose in America. Let's go ahead and pass that Rubio amnesty bill. Let's see if we can get that done just as soon as we possibly can and see if we can get that number up into the thousands of convicted illegal aliens loose in American society. And I mentioned this at the beginning on the IRS, but this is unbelievable. This is one of those things you read it and you just can't even believe it. We've been talking about the fact that the IRS has been going after, they've been targeting, and that word target was used 16 times in the Inspector General's report, that these groups, these conservative groups, Tea Party, Patriot Group, Education in the Constitution, want to make life better in America, pro-life groups were told you can't get certification unless you promise in writing under under the penalty of perjury that you will never make a protest or pray out in front of a Planned Parenthood clinic. You got Billy Graham being audited when he came out for natural marriage. You have James Dobson being audited as an enemy of this administration. The IRS official that was overseeing that whole business, her name is Sandra Ingram. Last name is Ingram. Sarah Hall Ingram. Sarah Ingram. She was the one that headed up the division that was over the tax-exempt business from 2009 till 2012 while all this was going on, all of this harassment, all of this persecution. And I've got a story right here about what happened under this same department to the brother-in-law of Barack Obama. You've got some of these Tea Party groups, conservative, they are still, ladies and gentlemen, they are still waiting for certification. Their applications have been there in the bowels of the IRS for 27 months, for 3 years. They still haven't heard back from them. When the Barack H. Obama Foundation sought tax-exempt status to raise money for good works in Kenya, the IRS provided quick help. Now remember, this is exactly the same division. The IRS approved charitable status for the foundation in 34 days. 34 days. They actually agreed to give the group retroactive tax-exempt status when it had begun its fundraising so that those gifts could be considered tax deductible. So 34 days if you're progressive, if you're connected some way to liberal causes, 34 months if you are not. Now that person, the woman, Sarah Hall Ingram, that was in charge of all this persecution of conservative groups, official IRS persecution, she is now in charge. If you haven't heard this, this will just rot your socks. She is now in charge of the IRS division that is responsible to implement Obamacare. So she is now going to do to every single American citizen who's a conservative, she's in position to do that, what she did to conservative organizations. So her portfolio now has expanded to hundreds of millions of American people. And think about this. You don't think it's far-fetched. If she could have politically motivated, ideologically motivated targets painted on groups because of their ideology, there is absolutely no reason in God's green earth why she cannot do the exact same thing to you and to me. It's just incredible to me. I mean, it's just bizarro world out there that something like this could be happening. And she got over $100,000 in bonuses while she was harassing conservative groups. So she gets bonuses, 34 days for the president's brother-in-law, 34 months for Tea Party groups. Hey, you get a bonus, $100,000. Way to go, Sarah Hall Ingram. Well, let's go to the phones. Let us go to Brandy, Sanford, North Carolina. Brandy, thank you for calling and thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Brian. It's so good to talk to you. I listen to AFR all the time.
Well, great. Thank you.
I have a couple of things, and like I said, I don't know if you have time, but back to the Kermit Gosnell and the Douglas. Help me with his last name.
Carpin. Carpin's his last name.
Yes, Carpin. Thank you. I wonder, and I know this had happened a couple of weeks ago, that when the Associated Press story broke, or maybe it was before, when they were asking him how he felt about Kermit Gosnell. No, it was before. When they were asking President Obama how he felt about the Kermit Gosnell trial, and he declined to comment because it was an ongoing trial, even though he has commented on several cases when that was the case. But why has no one been pressuring him to answer that now that the verdict has been read? Because he did vote for this same type of behavior 4 times in the legislature in Illinois. And I just wanted to know why we haven't heard from him as of yet on that.
Well, you know, that's a very, very good question, Brandy, because you're exactly right. He said, hey, I can't comment it. The trial is ongoing. It'd be premature for me to do it. But remember, that didn't stop him from coming out and accusing the Cambridge police of acting stupidly the day that Gates was arrested. There'd been no trial, nothing. He came out and pronounced judgment on that thing before it went to trial. He came out and pronounced judgment on the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin thing. If I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin. If I had an uncle, he looked like Kermit Gosnell would be the parallel to that. So I think that's a great question, Brandy, and I hope that someone in the media will think to ask him, well, now, Mr. President, now that the verdict is in, and remember, he can't even use the dodge. Well, we got to wait till the appeals process is finished because Gosnell gave up the right to file an appeal in exchange for being let off the hook on the death penalty. So this thing is over. It's a done deal. The books are closed. He's going to prison for the rest of his life. There are no more appeals, nothing. All that's gone. It's done. It's finished. It's in the box. Absolutely no reason now why the president can't comment on it. And I will guarantee you, Brandy, for the reasons you talk about, he will try to avoid it because he believes in infanticide. He supports infanticide. He supports the right of a mother and her doctor to put a baby to death after it has been born alive. He supports that. So it's a very, very awkward spot for him to be in. All right. Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate the call. Back to the IRS thing just for a second. How long, Jeff, is clip A9, the Miller clip? Do we have time for that? Okay, this is the same guy, Miller. And remember, he said, well, I can't comment. I don't know who it is. I don't know the names. I can't find the names. I don't have any idea, even though I'm the commissioner, the acting commissioner of the IRS. I'm in charge here. I'm at the top of I have no idea who these people are, what their names are. I don't even know where the pieces of paper are that have those names. And he's asked again about who's responsible for this. Here's what he had to say.
Who is responsible? You conducted the investigation. Who was responsible?
I don't have that name, sir. I tell you.
Why don't you have the
name? That I was originally.
Have you asked anybody?
Yes, I asked.
Who did you ask?
I asked.
You don't have that name either.
I'll be glad to provide those names.
Let him answer the question.
Mr. Levin, it's my time.
Washington State's time.
Who did you ask?
I asked the senior technical advisor.
And what's the senior technical advisor's name?
Nancy Marks.
And what did Nancy tell you? Who's responsible?
That I don't remember, to be honest with you.
You don't remember again.
Man. I mean, that's just pathetic. I mean, what this administration is revealing about itself. And I think these people are lying through their teeth, frankly. I don't think they can't remember. I think they don't want to tell. They know exactly. They just want to lie. They don't want to lie under oath. So they just say, I can't remember. I don't know. So they just betray this colossal level of ignorance, if that's what it is, and I don't believe it is. But they sound like the most ignorant, incompetent, inept bureaucrats that have ever walked the face of the earth. So they're either incompetent or evil. Either way, they don't belong in office. Back in 2.